Hey everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. So today we are talking about, we decided toxic people?
Toxic people.
So we have a special guest. We've decided you're special. You're always special, Deidra. But her husband Jeramie has also joined us. So Deidra and I are usually talking about the female's perspective. So we wanted to get a male's perspective on toxic females and toxic relationships. So where do you want to begin? Like, do you want to talk about toxic ex?
Sure. I don't know where I want to begin. I'm just
Where do you even
I'm
begin?
just a student of the earth. So
I'm the least coolest person at this table right now.
That is not true. Jeramie's pretty cool though.
I know, yeah. He's probably, no offense, but he's probably the cooler one.
He's the cooler one.
No.
We can probably.
So, first marriage?
first marriage was interesting.
Okay, tell me about her, because Deidra is like not a fan.
Well,
I'm probably not a fan of anybody
Yeah,
who.
that's
who,
true.
Who,
Yeah,
You don't
She's
like
like
either
an
one
ex.
of them.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
well, that scenario was interesting because she was a bit more. She was well off. Her family was. Her father was a commercial engineer, highly intelligent, and her mother was just essentially a house mom. You know,
Okay,
and,
all right.
But her dad was 25 years older than her mother. So at 50, the mom at 50.
25 years older?
Yeah, the mom at 50, her father was 75. But they had an incredibly loving relationship, which I actually reflect back on that often because they were so good to each other. They massaged each other every day and took care of each other, and really health was a major concern and family was a major concern. And I always loved and respected both of them for that. Now, that being said,
So you think that would be a very good atmosphere to grow up in?
yeah, it was a great atmosphere, but she was rebelling against her parents and wanted a bad boy type. And, you know, I for sure didn't have my poop in a group at 21. Not at all. I mean, I had
another sticker.
I had a job, but I didn't have, like, you know, the wherewithal that I have now. And I wasn't, like, on, like, a great path. I was just kind of flying blind in the early 20s, man. It was like just fucking
crazy.
running and gunning, and the band had just signed.
I was like, were you in a band?
Yeah,
at the point? Okay.
we had signed and we were touring, and it was, you know,
awesome.
it was kind of it was pretty awesome,
Yeah.
you know. But it makes you also go like, oh, it's difficult for anybody. So she wanted me to be something else, and she didn't like me for actually who I was. She just like, it was more of like the idea, and we became like a brother and sister fighting, kind of like, it became like just pissing matches back and forth. And it got to a point where I was like, cool, I'm good. I'll see you later, and bye. And she's like, no, we have to get marriage counseling. And I'm like, nah, we haven't been together long enough. I was like, the writing's on the wall. I mean, you can see it and I can see it, so let's stop bullshitting.
Right.
And
How long were you married for?
I think just shy of 2 years.
Okay, wow, okay.
It fell apart rather quickly, and I was thankful to move on. So I mean, it wasn't like too tormenting there. It wasn't like some horrendous infidelity scene. It wasn't this. It was just a matter of she didn't like me, and we were involved in a scenario. So
did she think like, oh, this guy's in a band and he's a bad boy, but you're really like, yeah, I'm in a band, but I'm a good guy.
Well,
I'm a good guy, and like, I'm not like,
no,
you know,
it wasn't
like,
a matter that I wasn't living up to that. It was just, it's difficult when in the first early stages of being in a band, you don't make any money,
right? Oh, yeah.
You know, and you have to leave for a month at a time. So when you leave for a month, I mean, what job does a normal person have that you can just go, cool, I'm out for a month, see ya, I'll be back in a month,
Right.
and then, those types of jobs that allow you back are pizza places, which I worked at. And how do you get a drummer off your front porch? You pay him for the pizza.
You want to be a drummer, right?
Yeah, right. How do you get a musician off your front porch? You pay him for the pizza. So other jobs are like telemarketing, which
Okay.
are horrible, you know, but I mean, you're only making a little bit. So from her father's standpoint, I probably looked like a bit of like a parasite, even though I wasn't. I cooked, I cleaned, I did this.
You contributed.
I
in
totally
ways, yeah.
contributed and went to work as soon as I got back. I went back to the pizza place, but I mean, I'm dragging in only X, you know. And then, I mean, minimum wage was what, $5.15 an hour, so 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Right.
That's like, that was peanut shells, man, you know. So it just went, you know, it went south quick because I was still myself and still had very much, my lofty goals, which I'm glad I stuck with them because, mud in your eye, here we are.
Yeah, you're like, ha! I had you just stuck around. Okay, so this wasn't. Did you have a child?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. So, you have a daughter?
I have 3 daughters.
Okay. Oof.
I just leaned in and talked to this.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. When I say something, I'll be like, and then there were 3.
Drama.
So that was with.
First one.
Okay.
First ex-wife.
All 3?
No, Deidra's 3.
Deidre's
Oh
the
no,
third
which
wife.
kid?
No, he had a daughter
I
with
did-
not with. They didn't
Yeah,
have children
I
together.
understand.
Okay, gotcha.
I understand.
Okay.
You were asking about the kids.
Yeah.
They didn't have a child.
Deidre's lucky number 3.
I'm the 3rd child. No, just
Wife.
Wife. Talking about Laura.
We have-
Unless you do 23andMe and realize you're related to each other because you look alike.
Yeah, she's my
So-
daughter.
No, that would be a fucking twist. Like, I was like, what?
Plot
like,
twist.
Maury or something. Like,
If that came back, like I thought we were gonna do 23andMe and we were gonna come back related. I don't know what. I would have just been like, I would have burned it and just probably been like, all right, I didn't see
I
that.
never saw that.
I don't know what you're
nobody's
talking
got
about.
to know.
Just
You're not having kids together, so you're fine. You're not procreating. They won't have like 3
I
eyes.
don't have chromosomally challenged babies. We're good.
Yeah.
Which ex was the craziest or most toxic?
That would be my first child's mother, and
Okay.
her name is Kelly, and she is batshit crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
this-
like, I don't even care. I'm gonna say your
we
name.
could
Fucking
probably
Kelly.
stay on this the whole time.
All right, we're gonna Kelly, crazy Kelly.
Yeah, she
That's
was.
fine.
She's something else, man. She's just. I mean, I recently wrote a record called "The Next Step" for my band Inhuman Condition, and the album cover has a guy walking on dead bodies as stairs. So the staircase is like dead people, or just which represents walking on people to get to wherever the fuck it is you have to go. And she is for sure that type of person, to where. I mean, it doesn't matter like what level of manipulation she would have to go through. She has no shame, none. I mean, one time, one of her exes, her and I were long split up, and one of her exes was like, he called me up frantic. It was like, have you seen her? And I'm like, at this point, I hadn't talked to her in like, I don't know, maybe a year or something. And I'm like, no clue. I don't know. Nope. I was like, why? What's up? He goes, oh, she's missing. She's been gone for a day and a half or something like this. And he was like all in a panic. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's a fucking YP, buddy. I'm like, see ya.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? So then he hits me up the next day and was like, the police found her. She had broke into her house. She had broke in, and the police found her there because they did another search of the house. She had broke in through the window, came through the window, took a dildo, fucked herself with it, and passed out because of drugs with her pants down and the dildo in her, and that's when the cops had found her. So she was out, gone, and done.
I mean, that's a scene.
Yeah.
And
That's how you end the night.
that's a whole scene, and that was like midday.
So she was just so fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in that particular instance, when I got full custody of my my oldest daughter, she had just had a battery on a minor, and she had 2 DUIs at the same time. So she had like went and cop poked some like 9-year-old kid, like fucking jabbed it because she didn't like how that kid was talking to Kayla. So she, which is my oldest daughter, she fucking jabbed her, and then it's like, what do you even do with that information?
Yeah.
I was like, wow. She had lost custody of her first son at that exact moment, so I went and I lawyered up and filed a claim, and there we go. Full custody awarded to the dad because mom is super unfit at the time.
How long were you married to her?
I was never married to her. She was just a girlfriend.
Okay, she was just okay. But you just okay. You had I get it now. Okay.
Yeah, and
Second wife though, you had 2 kids.
second wife I
Okay.
had 2, correct.
Okay. First wife, none. The one that was
Yeah.
raised in a well-to-do family. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
6 months before we got pregnant. I mean, I was 15 years old, so
Oh wow, you're young.
yeah, like I was 15 for a month, and then after a month I obviously turned 16, and then we were pregnant by the time I was so that was in September. We were pregnant by January. Yes, there we go, January or February. So 6 months or so, and that entire time I was so afraid to leave her because of she knew all of these skinheads in this area, and she was like incredibly in with them. And I watched her sick these people on other people, and they would go and like, especially if it was like a wounded girl, you know, and she was like, he did this and so, she would make shit up. It doesn't matter. She'd be like, he fucking stole a car from it doesn't even matter. She would say whatever. It doesn't matter she would come up with a story, she would say it, and I watched them fucking jump some dude one time, like beat him with skateboards and shit, and like, I mean, fucked him up. So I was afraid.
You're like,
I was afraid of like you know, mortal dilemma. I guess I was like, oh shit, I was really afraid of that. And I got her pregnant, and the rest is a crazy tale, you know, just, I mean, I did that to me, obviously. She had told me she was on birth control and was taking it, and the reality is she wasn't taking it all because she wanted to try and trap me.
You, yeah.
And forever, you know, I have this thing where my exes like to keep my last name. Like, it's bizarre. Like,
you told me about that.
It's really strange where it's like, God, they just want to attach and then like be stuck. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't ever want. They want that attachment to you somehow, some way. Even if you're physically gone, you're like, I'm fucking out. Like, but you know, they're still. So I was actually watching a video on narcissism, and it was about why narcissists get people pregnant or get pregnant. Like, that's one of their ways to always strap you to them. Like,
we have a buddy who one of the things him and his girlfriend had broken up, and he had said that she had faked all these pregnancies, and like, I just don't even. This is such a awful scenario to be in.
Yeah, it sucked, man, you know. And after that, I was really good about not, you know, I always wore a rubber after that. Like, fucking, no matter what, there was, like, it was impossible. My next kids were on purpose.
Yeah.
So, without a doubt. I mean, I learned then, I was like, okay, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Got it.
Can you think of, like, one of the craziest things she ever did to you? Or, like...
Well, yeah. One time she stabbed me in the neck with a sharpie. She jumped up and hit me like this, like fucking jabbed it right in my neck, and it scratched me and like fucking raised up, and I went down and I called the police at the corner. I left her house. I think she was mad because
what was she upset about?
I think it was just because of, like, something benign, like I just disagreed with dinner, or I disagreed with something and was like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, and she was just already on one and fucking up and struck me, and I was like, holy fuck, right? So I left, got on my skateboard, you know, because I was only 16, and I skated up to the corner store and called the police, and they showed up, looked at my neck, and said, I probably did it to myself, and that what am I afraid of? She's just a girl, and then they left. So, I had a lot of, like, faith in the Leo at an early age. I was like, oh, man, come on. I was like, I didn't fucking do this. I was like, she literally struck me. And they're like, oh, she's just a girl, but basically like, oh, you're a pussy. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah.
I take offense to that statement.
Right.
Just a girl. Women can get guns and shoot fucking people. So.
Yeah, I mean, and she wasn't this dainty thing. I mean, she's the same height as me, the same weight as me. I mean, if we were like fighters, we would have been in the same class. So I mean, and she wasn't like weak either. I mean, she fucking struck me, and she would attack me all the time. You know, but that's kind of like her entire family's. That's their whole. They love that shit. Yeah, they're in like they're in a donut of hell, and none of them can get out.
Yeah.
And I just sit and watch from over here and go, not my circus, not my monkeys, and okay.
Do you have any contact with her, like, whatsoever?
No, none these days.
Like, you don't have no idea what she's up to? Or?
No, I have none. My oldest daughter is 21, and long gone are the days where I'm even legally obligated to be in a conversation with her. Those days are fucking over, and Viking send off.
And you think about when you have like a legal obligation to a toxic person. Like, I have the same thing, and like, you go through these, a lot of people go through that where you have a child with somebody, and then you have an 18-year prison sentence of having to deal with that person.
It is an 18-year prison sentence,
You know.
I can't even imagine. Well, the guy I dated, you know, I thought that was his situation. Like, I felt bad. Like, oh my God, he's tied to this toxic person. Right. I was like, what if she's tied to him? Dun, 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 dun.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like,
I was like, who is really the toxic person? Like, did she trap him by getting pregnant, or did he trap her by getting her pregnant?
Then it becomes a variable. You know that there's going to be toxic craziness around you. You have no way to escape it. You just have to mitigate contact, and you have to do your best, because then
Yeah.
and you get drawn
They
in.
say it has to just be very straightforward. Like, ask
Yeah,
a
but they-
question, answer a question.
Well, it doesn't even matter
They
even
find a
if,
way.
even if it is
If they
straightforward.
triangulate with the children, then
Yeah.
that's where shit gets
Yeah, it
started
was a
getting
real
fucking
nightmare.
hairy. Like,
And for
what do you
sure,
do?
it soured my relationship with my daughter. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. There's irreparable damage, and somehow dad's always the bad guy. And I'm like, cool, okay, so right.
I'm like, I got stabbed with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean-
if she had like I was gonna ask her to penetrate your skin, because I was like, that is one like sharp jab to
I
get
think
a
they
Sharpie,
didn't care
but
back then.
it just
No,
scratched,
it's different now.
Yeah, they didn't care. Yeah, she got me really good, and you know, she got me at an angle to where it literally just it scratched me, and like, I mean, I had a pretty gnarly mark there, and
Oh,
you know,
I bet.
they just didn't even give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, again, they said that I probably did it to myself.
All right.
What about the second wife?
Second wife. Well, I mean,
I know your third wife's crazy.
I've had some other crazy events with people that are just concerned with themselves and are they're just self-absorbed. I mean, I had an ex of mine before my second wife, and she literally only gave a shit about her bubble, and anything outside of that didn't really matter at all. I took her on a family trip, and she was so fucking weird to my mom. She was so weird to my mom. She was like bitchy, and like started like, she would like tell me, like she was trying to like separate my relationship that I had, which it wasn't like, I didn't have the best relationship with my mom, but she was trying to separate me from them, and I could see that, and there was another like, nope, I'm
That's
good.
weird.
You know, I didn't have any type of like long-term attachment to her. We just got back from that relationship, and I was like, cool, and see you later, goodbye. You know.
But that's cool that you could identify that, actually.
Well, now,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, I missed the next one, so.
Well, you know, you can't see them all.
Yeah.
They can't all be singers.
Yeah.
So looking back on the second one, like you said, you missed the second one. What, in hindsight, right, we always say you look back and you can see, you notice the red flags. You're like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, like, but I chose to ignore it because
Yeah.
either maybe this person, you know, well, I really like them, or
Well,
I'm
I
really
got
attracted to them.
that whole
or-
triangulating thing happened to me with my ex. I didn't want to date her. I wasn't really interested, actually. I was basically kind of squatting at her house, and she was an adult entertainer.
She was a porn star.
Stripper, you know, she did a lot of stuff, you know. So I had to live, I was living on her couch, you know, essentially, and I didn't want a girlfriend. I literally just came out of a marriage. I was like, I'm good, you know, I'm good. But I used her house as a landing pad, which that is what kept me. So that would be my own selfish ego going, fuck yeah, I mean, this is a home, and this is great, and it's her money, and she's paying for it, so hell yeah, all right, so I'll just hang out here a little while. Like, she did a masterful job of tricking me by going like showing interest in this other guy, and it was like maybe go like, okay, well, I was like, I guess we can date. I guess it'll be fine, and it was never fine. It was always okay enough, but it was never fine. It was always some form of unrest, because again, that's another person who didn't actually want to be with me. I'm difficult. I'm difficult in the sense of
Said the same.
I'm difficult in the sense of I'm driven. I have opinions. I like what I like. I like to learn, but I'm also pretty fucking intense, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't. They like a beer at 5 o'clock, and they like to put on their soaps, and they like to sit down and veg out, and then go to sleep, and the next day get up and go to work and talk around the water cooler about whatever garbage is going on in the Grammys, whatever's going on in politics, whatever. They're super concerned and absorbed with that shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, and they
Very
love
surface level.
they love
Yeah.
the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And I cannot fault them. I understand and I get it. Do you, no problem. But when you get someone who, I don't watch TV. I don't ever put the TV on. So if we go on a trip and we go to a hotel room, I will never fucking touch the clicker to turn the TV on. That doesn't happen. I don't think like that. I'm never concerned with it. It just doesn't. So that is a crazy juxtaposition for someone who only thinks about that.
Right. Yeah.
And so it starts to wear, because I'm not concerned with that. I think that person maybe is wasting their time. You know, maybe they could be allocating their time differently. And that's where like there starts to be like a line, because I'm like, okay, you're not fucking motivated at all. You don't want to do anything. You know,
Yeah.
you just kind of want to exist and coast. that's cool. I don't want to. So
Or exist around you because you are doing something.
right.
That also happens.
Which becomes like parasitic.
Yeah.
You know, and those people resent you because they're not doing what you're doing. So in some way, you're the asshole. No matter what, you're the asshole. So fast forward to my relationship with Deidra is she is driven. I mean, we're sitting in her studio right now, and all of these things behind us go into use, and they're all pieces of a puzzle. It's all used and utilized, and she's driven, and she has ideas, and she goes, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Which is great because I'm already doing all that same shit, so we can symbiotically live next to each other and coexist and go, well, I need to get this done this week and this done this week, and they go, okay, well, let's plan it. And then we plan, and then we have, 5 video shoots in a week, which is fucking wild. I couldn't have done that with any of my exes because they weren't the same type of person. They weren't like-minded like me, and I guess that's what I mean by saying that I'm difficult because I am driven. I'm always like stuck in like 3rd or 4th gear. I'm already going like.
There's only 3rd and 4th.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because I mean we talk about like I'm driven and ambitious or whatever.
That's
and we
been a
talk
problem.
about that. I feel like that's hindered me in dating because probably I'm not meeting people who are
Also driven and passionate.
I want
like-minded.
to join you guys.
Can you just knock that down a few times?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Slow it down.
tightened mine. I'm sorry. It's
I think hers is broken. I keep tightening it.
all right.
Because you've been on dates with people and they're not as driven or passionate,
Yeah.
and then they try to make you feel like guilty for being successful or driven. Like I've experienced that where you're being driven and passionate is a negative thing in their mind. It makes you selfish and self-absorbed.
Yeah. Which I mean, I totally am. You have to be.
You
If
have
you're
to
not,
be.
if you're not, you won't do anything.
right.
I mean, if you're not, then you're just clicking on the TV because you want to be swept away. And I put the TV on. Like my wife and I are rewatching Dexter. I've watched the entire season.
I mean, I watch TV, but
But,
I'm not absorbed by it.
Like at nighttime, like we'll throw on a program and sit and have we'll have our comfies on and have our snacks, and we'll watch a show. But I don't gravitate towards that. Like I mean, when you walked in today, I was re-editing a video because I had an idea. And then I'm also was cutting down some live clip that we use because we're going to use it in press for like they're doing like an online concert thing. So they're taking songs from individual bands and doing like just like featurettes of live shows. So I was just cutting down some video to send to them so they can have that. I'm always doing something. Even when I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to wander around and listen to records. And I'll end up like vacuuming or
Yeah.
I gotta be doing something.
I'll do something anyways, which
Yeah.
it's difficult.
But I think that's a big part of kind of just dating and being single is finding somebody who's on that same page
Yeah.
as you, like-minded people. So I went out on a date with a guy who's a federal prosecutor. So I'm like, okay, he's somebody who's driven. Like,
Yeah.
he has drive. He's successful, right? So great date. We were there. I haven't told you this story.
No, I
We
was
were
just gonna
there.
say, I don't think
we
we heard this one.
went to dinner. We were there for 4 hours. Like
Wow.
you usually
Oh, wow.
don't sit with somebody for 4 hours
Yeah,
when
no.
you first meet them. Like there was good conversation. Like I felt very comfortable. And I had just talked about like having kids is important to me. Like those are something I want in life. So we went from like texting every day up to this date, and then after the date,
Nothing.
So a weekend goes by. We went out on Thursday. A weekend goes by. Monday, I messaged you. I just said, hey, like I thought we had a really good time. Like I thought we had. Like we connected, like, but maybe that wasn't your case. He's like, no, he's like, I think you're super hot, you're smart, you're funny and witty. He's like, but it just doesn't seem like we're on the same. And he said, I'm not sure what I want in my future as far as kids go, and it seems like you're very dead set. And he has a daughter. But before when we talked and texted, he was like, oh no, I'm ready for a commitment, and you know what I mean. And so I was like, what? And we still talk. Like we
might
still
not mean kids to him.
And of course, my friend's like, you shouldn't be talking about it on the first date. I'm like, I'm not going on a first date being like, I want to have babies right now. Like, give me babies. Like,
Yeah.
But that's important to me. I'm not going to waste my time with somebody who doesn't want kids because that is a goal.
But you're not saying shove a child in my body right
That's
now.
what I
You're
told him. I
saying
was like,
in
well,
my life. That's
I
important.
responded and said, I hope no means you thought I was like, I don't know you. I'm just not. And we've talked about this in my podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Just because I say I want to have kids doesn't mean I want to have kids with you. I just fucking met
Everyone
you.
personalizes.
Yeah,
that.
they're like, oh my god, I guess men that would scare them regardless because they're like,
Well, everybody's trained to personalize everything.
yeah.
That's like that's like a status quo for our society. Everyone's trained to personalize it, and that's why we're in the situation we're in currently. With everybody is like, it's sort of like if you remove all the skin off your thumb, and then you have all that new skin underneath, and everyone's like new skin. And that's due to society being informed with. I mean, we now have terms for triangulating and triangulation, and we have narcissism.
But we don't know what to do with any of that.
Gaslighting. So we're like, so now
Gaslighting.
everyone is
Gaslighting.
incredibly sensitive, incredibly personalized. All the stuff in the '80s, what we were taught was jokes, ripping on people. This is funny, like, you fell, idiot. And that was comedy. So, and then we grew away from that, and now we're like this new skin on the thumb where everyone's like, everything is like, oh shit. It's like totally personal. Everybody takes everything personal now.
Yeah.
There's not even, like, comedy is almost erased in the sense of how we knew it. Like,
Right.
comedy is totally different.
Yeah, there was a comedian or a show that were like, if this show was on current day, it would have never made it.
No.
Fuck
Like,
yeah.
it was so, like...
Any Robin Williams, any Steve
Right,
Martin,
Archie Bunker show.
any...
Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't remember what... It was a meme. It was just like... or they interviewed him. They were like, if that show were on current day, it would have never fucking made it. Like...
No.
People are so sensitive to everything.
Well, I don't even know that I feel that it's that we're sensitive to like racism and sexism. It's that it's been made to be okay to not be okay with it.
Well, but everybody's personalizing everything is what I'm saying. And that's going to where the guy, in regards to him, like, personalizing, saying, oh, she wants to have kids.
Right.
To him, maybe that meant, oh my God, she wants to have kids. Like, that could be right now, that could be 2 years,
Right.
or maybe that's a good thing, and that's enough for him to go, well, no, I'm not really interested. Our goals aren't exactly the same. So, I mean, but I guess I would personalize that too. I think if someone had said that to me, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I would be staunch against having any type of kids. I'd have been like, cool, I respect that you want to, right? We got on well and rock and roll.
Yeah. He said he's like, I just don't know what I see for my future, and you seem pretty solidified in yours, and he's like, I don't want to hold you back from that.
Oh, well.
That's not what he said. No, I mean, we're still cool. Like, we follow each other on Instagram, he messages me or whatever. Like,
I still believe that if people seriously like are very drawn to somebody, they won't care about any of that.
Well, I wouldn't want a kid.
No, I mean,
if you were dead set against it, if you're like no, then I completely get it. But if
Yeah.
you're
if
like,
you just weren't
okay,
sure,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to still see where it goes? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
I sat and had a 4-hour conversation with somebody. Like, that's rare on a first date. Like,
Yeah,
trust me,
yeah.
I've been on a lot of fucking first dates. So it's my life.
So you had said that you wanted kids, and he just kind of after that was like gone. After that.
And maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just doesn't want to say that. Maybe he has a 12-year-old daughter already. No.
But finding people that are in your same lane, like meaning like how fast you walk, that pace the way you pace, that move the way you move, and they don't have to be the same person because we're different in many ways, but we're also similar in many ways. It's just finding people that want to be in the same direction as you.
Right.
Yeah.
Timing is important.
Yeah.
Like, I've dated guys that are like, yeah, I want to have kids maybe 8 years from now. I'm like,
Yeah.
8 fucking years? Like, you're like 40.
That's a number though.
6.
Like, how'd you just pick that number?
Yeah, I don't know. People are fucking weird.
No one's ever ready to have a kid.
No, you just have to have it, and then you just.
You just have
So
it.
maybe I'll try
and
it.
it's
I'm
like
not
triage
gonna-
from there.
You know what? I'm gonna go into a date and be like, I'm, a struggling
I'm an artist. I sleep on my friend's
artist.
couch.
Right. I don't have a home. I'll rent a different car and drive.
You get Uber there to say,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
have a
Uber.
car.
Yeah.
My friend
Can you
dropped me
pay
off.
for my Uber because I can't afford it?
You
Like,
bring your friend. Bring your friend because you need a ride.
You know what? I might actually do this just as a test
That would be
and see
fun.
what happens.
I
Right?
mean-
Wouldn't that be interesting? Like,
Yeah.
with a difference that you're treated like if you're like, yeah, I'm
So
successful.
you should go
or-
on a date, and you said wrong answers only. So you should go on a date that's wrong answers only. Be like, you need to come not who you are at all, and tell them too. So it's wrong answers only, and you guys have a date, and you pretend to be somebody completely different.
That would be fun.
That'd be a good social experiment.
But we were talking about this yesterday, like doing that, like not kind of just changing our whole storylines of our lives and
Yeah.
seeing if that plays a part in our success in dating. And
That's
like,
kind of exhausting.
Yeah,
just we
but-
were talking about
yeah,
men
but-
wanting to save women.
But maybe that's like, maybe that's the wrong approach on how to get what you're looking for.
I don't think I wouldn't date. I want to continue to date them. I would just be curious how.
But what if
Because
they were like the one though? What if that was the one and you just
Oh,
scared them
then
away by your
totally.
by your social
Then you're an
experiment?
Well, what's that movie with Pete Hudson? Like, gosh, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where she's trying to get rid of him or whatever, or like make him fall in love, then to actually fall in love, whatever. Anyways, it's something like that.
Well, you know, the thing that happened with me and Deidra was completely. It was interesting. Like, we had spent years doing this, like, as like circles. Sometimes I was spinning faster and she had bigger, slower ones, and then vice versa. You know, maybe I had a bigger one and she had smaller circles, and we would run into each other. And then at one point we just met and hung out and was like, "Oh shit!" Like, hey, hi. I see you and you see me. It wasn't like a thought process.
Yeah.
I didn't have to like try and be anybody. I was just myself, whatever the fuck that is. I mean, you're experiencing it now. This version of me in 2021, right? So we
there was nothing.
we just
There's
fucking
no-
connected. It was unbelievable, you know. Everything was different. So what happens is it's just magic, and it just does happen. Right place, right time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't trying to be anything. I didn't go into it with my special earrings on that day. I didn't do a juju move before I went out and blessed the room, and I didn't you know,
Sage.
I didn't sage, I didn't smudge stick, I didn't do any of that shit. I just was like, went and hung out with a person who was just a person, and I was not trying to fuck this person. I didn't have any thoughts of that. It wasn't anything like that. As a matter of fact, she came out to my jam space, and I took down this picture of that I had up there. It was a Playboy model, redhead with just tits, and it was like a modest Playboy shot. But I just removed it because I was like, yeah, I don't want her to think like this is like some like.
So cute.
I don't want her to think this is like a fuck shack,
Oh, yeah,
because
okay.
it's not. Her coming up and hanging out was actually benign, and we were talking about other things music related. Like, I mean, I have the ability to be a person. Like, most people have the ability to be a person. Most guys, though, just want to fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And that's what
Yeah.
and that's what you women run into, and I feel horrible for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I experience that too. I meet plenty of women who just want to fuck.
Yep.
And it got to a
Female
point
friends like that,
before, you know, with my previous marriage, I was pretty open, right? So I toured a lot, and if there was pussy that I wanted to handle on that day, then so be it. You know, it just
Really?
just
So
was
open,
what it
yeah.
was. Yeah, and I didn't have to talk to her, and like I told you, it was like an interesting scenario. We weren't friends, and I didn't have to clear it.
Right.
I just did what I did,
Yeah.
and I was just a person. So it got to a point where I was so flatlined because that wasn't even feeding me, and I wasn't getting fed at home at all. Like, and I mean, like in the emotional sense, I wasn't being fed at home. So it got to a point with girls, like they would come up, and I'd be like, "Trying to fuck? Yeah, okay, cool, let's go."
See, and I would actually prefer that. I'd rather
Yeah.
a guy just be like,
And
look, I'm just looking
those-
to fuck.
those
Because
girls-
there are women who do.
And those women were like,
talked about that.
they were like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, "Do you have a condom?" "Nope." And I'm like, "Blowjob it is." All right, because I'm not having another fucking kid. It's not happening.
But no, I talked to Deidra about that. Like, the men who manipulate, because you're right, most men are chasing.
Yeah, ass. No.
Yeah. So the manipulation to act like a nice guy just to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's not necessary. Like, some women are okay, and if, why torment a woman who doesn't want that by manipulating her, doing it, and then fucking ghosting her? You know
I think
what I mean? Like, I
everyone's
just think
okay with
that's so,
honesty.
like,
I think everybody would be okay with like, what do you want? But I think most people don't know what they want. They want to have like, their options open
Yeah.
to like a million
Yeah.
different, right?
Yeah.
So they don't want it. They don't know what to say because they don't know what part you're going to feed in their story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that thing that happened with Deidra and I was like, just, it was above and beyond that. It was totally different.
Yeah.
It was different. It made me go, "Oh wow, okay, cool. Yep, all in. It's crazy. Let's
All
go."
in.
Aw,
And it's just,
sweet.
yeah, and it just happens.
I hope that happens for me.
And I used to say to Jeramie, I was like, you just have to, it will, and you have to be in the place, in the right
Deidra
mindset.
didn't run into it until 38, and
Yeah.
she was giving up. She'd given up looking. She had given up trying to find.
Yeah.
She was.
We're almost like
She was
maybe 38.
okay being alone
Yeah.
and being a professional and delving into her art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was okay in a similar way differently. I was
Yeah.
in okay at the same with the same thing. And when we met, it was like,
Oh,
oh,
shit.
lights, cool, okay.
Life could
Awesome.
be different. That
Yeah.
does exist.
And yeah, not in a sense of like just like in a sense of like reality of like that. Deidra just brought this this point up the other day, which is interesting. So like the ability to regrow a tail exists on our planet. We just as people don't have that ability yet. You know, we could evolve to have that because that technology exists right now. So that might be comforting to someone who goes, I want to have that. Well, I mean, that technology does fucking exist. It's out there. You just have to quit looking for it.
Yeah.
And have to be okay with you wherever you're at, and then you start doing your own self-assessment, and when you're content with yourself, it will present itself. It did to me.
Yeah.
It did to me. It did to her. I mean, she's went through hell and back.
Yeah, I know.
Her story, some of those are far worse than mine.
I
you know.
I gotta get you to see if you'll tell them, but you told them to me off camera. But yeah, no, I agree, and I think I need to get. I went through a bad breakup, and now I'm just relearning like how I was so happy and content being on my own during that time, and then I attached myself to a person, and now I'm working my way back up to the detachment phase, and like now I'm just a single entity again, being happy. And
which is
doing my own
difficult
shit.
because you're like, that does become part of you. You're like, well, I'm a good person, and I tried, and I liked wearing that outfit.
Right, and now so, but no, cool. Well, I'm glad we're ending on a good note.
Yeah,
that gives people hope.
Yeah,
Like,
instead of saying just punch your pillow.
Yeah,
don't punch people.
You missed the first episode.
Punch your pillow.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on and talking. You're
welcome. Hopefully,
and teaching me the drums earlier.
Hopefully, my male, whatever, helps somebody go. It's everybody. It's not just men and women. It's everybody.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening on the podcast. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the smash the like button. Is that what the guy said?
Smash the like button below.
Smash it.
All right, bye everyone. We will see you on the next one.